Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes for this Keep and Count. This is episode 370. And
Wow.
my next guest, we're going to talk about tripling down on relationships. And ironically, this is his third time on the show. His first time back in 2018, where we talked about being a connector. His second time was in 2022, when he was talking about creating billion-dollar relationships. Now, you know, third time's a charm. We're talking about tripling down on those relationships, especially in the age of AI. So
Yeah.
welcome back, Kevin. Everybody else,
Great to be.
Kevin Thompson, and glad to see
Yeah.
you.
I'm looking forward to this. Wow. So I didn't, boy, you got the timelines down and everything. So we're about 3 years in between, 4 years in between, and then now 3 years since the last one.
Yeah,
So
so from
so every
beginning to
every
end,
three or
it's
four
it's
years.
7 years and
Yeah.
three episodes, and but you're that guy who I've always you know felt was like me. We both came from a cleaning background. We both knew Joe Polish. We both grew up with the masters, learning marketing from Dan Kennedy and Jay
Yeah.
Abraham.
Yeah.
And so, we've been in this game a long, long time. And it's not like we're old timers, but we're getting up there. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I was talking to you off air. We're the last generation to know life before the internet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now with AI coming in, and every entrepreneur that I know is panicking because they feel that their jobs are no longer needed. Consultants, copywriters, marketers, companies can just go to AI and ask AI, hey, solve this for me. And maybe
Mhm.
they can. But
Mhm.
you know what? You have developed this system where, you created these connections, these relationships with $1 million companies, $1 million people, and they're not concerned with the day-to-day, you know, tragic crap that the media is spinning. They
Yeah.
just continue to do what they do.
Yeah. 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 It's really interesting. And yeah, so man, the last conversations we had, um, so AI is certainly changing stuff. And AI, I mean, there's a lot of good that can be done with AI, and that is being done. There's a lot of bad that
Well,
can be done with
just
AI.
this morning, I was out with my son looking at cars because he needs a new reliable car. So we go to this car lot, and they got the window stickers and everything for the used cars, and we did do a test drive. But in the test drive, I took my phone, snapped a picture of the car VIN and all the particulars, and I uploaded to ChatGPT. I said, "What do you think?"
Okay.
And it told me all the recalls. It told me, everything that was wrong with the vehicle. And I
Wow.
get back to the salesperson, and I said, I uploaded this to ChatGPT. This is what it spit out. Is it true? And the guy goes, "Yeah, we had a few issues with the seatbelt module going in, and the I guess it's connected to the airbag, and so if
Okay.
in an accident that wouldn't deploy. So we have a part on order, but this is our third attempt." And I'm like, "Nope." So AI is great for helping you decide what to buy, maybe even
Sure.
making a recipe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've also noticed that people are putting too much faith in AI when it comes to, just the other day, someone posted something. He says, "Well, this is true because I pulled it off of Perplexity." And I said, "Well, it can't be because Google AI and ChatGPT are saying the opposite. So which one's true?" Then I
Hmm.
did a deep dive, it's known that some AI, like Perplexity, is pulling directly from the wrong sources. These fake media, the ones that like to
Okay.
spin stories, and then now people are thinking, well, that's true because it's on AI.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we have to we we have, and if we can continue to go back and forth, well, this one's not trustworthy, this one's trustworthy, and if we go back to the whole airbag thing on the car, how do I know any of that is true?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
glad that the sales rep, acknowledged the fact,
Mhm. Mhm.
but
Yeah.
what if there's nobody there to acknowledge what AI is doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, are we having a relationship with a real person, or are we having a relationship with an AI?
That's an interesting question right there, isn't it?
Mhm,
'Cause, yeah, we see stuff on social media, we see stuff on the internet, heck, we might receive phone calls now, you
mhm,
know, and I can assure you a lot of it is AI for sure.
yeah,
And, but it's really interesting because I'm in a unique position where I am regularly, like during my work week, I am regularly in communication with entrepreneurs. I mean, entrepreneurs running companies anywhere from, oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, half a million up to 750 million, And what I really believe is that AI will never take the place of real, meaningful connection
mhm,
with between people
yeah,
because it takes heart and soul for that, and AI can't compete
no,
on that.
no.
Yeah, no.
You might be able to prompt it to give a you know, a phrase or a post or something that kind of feels empathetic to a human, but, a lot of times you create something and you're like, "Ah, that sounds great," but does it sound like you?
Yeah,
You know? Are you telling it to be sarcastic? Are you telling it to be, liberal or right wing or whatever terminology that you think fits you,
hmm,
and then you start spitting out all this stuff, and it's like, Dude, that's not even how you write."
yeah.
Heck, I didn't even know you knew anything above a five-syllable word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and so you look at people like, "No, AI did that." And so now there's distrust or, in the whole thing where everybody is saying, "Well, that must be AI because there's M dashes," or, there's a word in there or a phrase that says, "Here's the truth," or and I'm like, "I've been saying all that crap for years," and M dashes go back to the 1800s when they, had the, printing presses, the
yeah,
hand crank thing.
yeah,
So AI is learning from stuff that is popular, back then, may not be as popular now. So yeah, it's easily detected, but it's also picking up phrases that are popular with people. Here's
yeah,
the truth,
yeah,
or here's the kicker. I like to use here's the skinny, and so now you're getting all these posters starting to say like that. I'm like, that's my saying,
yeah.
but um,
It's interesting because along the lines of what you're talking about, what it really comes down to is trust.
mhm,
And that's the thing right there, is that people just want to know, well, who can I trust? What can I trust?
yeah, and
And
after COVID, it was. I mean, we all know that it's know, like, and trust, right?
yeah.
But after COVID, I added that fourth element, feel safe,
Hmm.
because nobody felt safe during COVID.
That's right.
But we
That's
had
right.
all these myths, misconceptions, these fears, um, and all people wanted to do was feel safe. They wanted to go outside. They wanted to go grocery store. I just want to feel safe. I don't care about the masks. I don't care about your politics. I don't care about this. I just want my safety back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and then here that was the other issue. Now people, I mean, marketers knew it. I'm a marketer, you're a marketer, but some of these places exploited that. "Oh, we have this great product that'll make you feel safe," but we didn't trust it because the government was saying it.
Hmm. Mhm. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
then you had all these problems with the vaccines, and you had all these problems with, you know, humans just want to feel safe.
yeah, yeah. Yep, that's all we want, and we wanna have what, I mean, for me as a parent, I want my kids to have the best life that they can possibly have. I want them to be able to go out into this world and make their impact and hopefully enjoy doing what they do. And I think as a general rule, we all want the same things.
Hmm.
We want meaningful relationships. We want life to be good for our kids. We want to be able to feel safe. Um, all these things, and we're a whole lot more alike than we are different,
Right.
and so much of what we actually see in the media or on face or on social media or what have you. You know what? That's not real life because that's not what I experience when I go out into the world.
Hmm.
Go to the grocery store or to a local restaurant or whatever. All this stuff that I see going on there, I'm not seeing that in real
Right.
life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just at an event in Toronto a couple weeks ago for my buddy Gio put on this event, and there was a couple thousand entrepreneurs that came to that event.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, they're making some pretty big impacts in this world and stuff.
Hmm.
And they're all about using their gifts, their abilities, their businesses to make their biggest impact and
Hmm.
stuff. And it's absolutely inspiring to
Hmm.
get into conversations with entrepreneurs like that,
Yeah.
And
And what gets I guess my juice is flowing now as I've gotten older is about legacy. And a lot of these, millionaire entrepreneurs, they don't care about the money. They care about the impact, the
yeah,
legacy that they're going to have, on the community that they serve. And that was kind of what inspired me to write, my legacy book. And you know, it took me, when I had the carpet cleaning business that you know, that's how I met you, you
yeah.
know. But I didn't think about legacy back then. Heck,
No, no.
I thought about maybe, I need enough money to pay my mortgage or get groceries or do this. Or, I didn't think about the equipment. I didn't think about marketing. I always focused on the next job.
Yeah.
And you know, yes, it took a couple years. I had to learn marketing. I had to learn all these things. But what I never was taught was the importance of legacy until I got older and I realized I wasn't working, for just the day to day garbage. I was creating something bigger and better for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the fact, hey, I'm going to leave all this money to charity when I die, and that's my legacy. Because most times it's not about money. It's about knowledge. It's about, you know, your word impact.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 It's interesting when you get older, you start your priorities change. And,
Yeah.
and you do start kind of thinking of like, well, what is going to happen when I'm gone, and will I have made an impact? Will I have made a difference?
Hmm.
And I'd sure like to hope so. And but that's for me. I mean, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that really matters
Hmm.
is impact. And I'll tell you what, the cool thing is when we get the impact right. Here's the deal, because revenue is the natural and organic byproduct of impact.
Hmm.
The bigger impact we make, the more revenue that gets created.
And
And
and look at Elon Musk. A lot
yeah,
of people don't like him,
for
you know,
sure.
but he's creating such an impact in the world, and it's coming back and rewarding him for the
Yeah,
impact that he's delivered. And so
yes.
you got Tesla, you got
SpaceX and
yeah, and you got the internet stuff and the boring and it can go on and on and on. And Yeah, maybe we didn't like him because he affiliated with, politics, or we didn't like him for this. But you know what? Every time you hate on somebody, you have to think about them in order for your hate to build up.
Totally. Yeah.
And so you're just giving back the energy, and you're
Mhm.
making him have a bigger impact.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to do if you don't like someone, stop thinking about them.
Yeah. Yeah. Which means don't hold a grudge either, you
Mhm.
know? Um, I'll tell you, because you know what? We hold a grudge. Um, and we're the only one who suffers in that, because whoever we're holding the grudge against, you know what? They ain't giving us 1 second's bit of thought.
Right.
So, so the longer we hold that grudge, so forgiving somebody, in many cases, it's not even for them; it's
Mhm.
for us,
Yeah.
so that we can just release that shit and let it go and have our peace. And yeah, because holding grudges, that we're the only ones
Mhm.
that are impacted by holding a grudge.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
once you, you know, release that ego, you can do amazing things.
mhm, mhm. And I'll tell you, Elon, whether you love him or you don't, that guy's making a big impact in
Yeah,
so many different ways,
yeah.
in a lot of different ways, not just one industry. He's in a bunch of different industries,
Mhm.
and that guy is just going to continue doing his thing, you know.
No,
And
and Jeff Bezos too, and
yeah,
I admire these guys because they give me something that I need to push myself to be more of.
yeah,
People complain about Jeff Bezos all the time. They think his policies are this or that, or he's not a nice guy because he got divorced and got remarried. To me, all that's trivial shit. You know, if you just applied 1% of your brain to do something positive every day, you wouldn't even be complaining about anybody.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for
But
sure.
the internet, the social media was supposed to be social to bring us together, but it's really been a weapon to tear us apart.
Yeah,
And I think that a lot of us need to restrict the amount of time that we spend online.
yeah,
We
yeah,
need to have, pick up the phone and just talk to somebody. I think we've become shielded, protected, caught in our umbilical environment that's tied to our phones, and we've yeah, we're living in the matrix.
yeah,
I think we do need to, as this episode is called, triple down on our relationships,
yeah,
because it's very important that we as humans continue to have conversations with other humans.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you know, and I can't remember all of our conversations in our last two interviews, but I know this whole idea, and I learned this term of active appreciation from my friend Jesse Elder 12 years ago, actually 13 years ago. Now it was in 2012, and I've been that way, but I never he was the first time that like I had somebody like use the term and like this is how you show up.
Mhm,
And now that I had that explained to me 13 years ago, I'm like, I could be more intentional about that.
mhm,
And here's the deal. Because, no matter how successful somebody is, no matter how big of a business they run, no matter how great things look from the outside looking in, I can tell you from personal experience that there's not a person on the face of this earth that gets too much appreciation.
mhm,
And when we just show genuine appreciation, not using this as a strategy or a tactic, but
mhm.
just let it be who we are and
Yeah.
be appreciative of people and let them know it. I mean, from the person who's like working at the local Starbucks or who just served you your meal or whatever. I was Toronto 2 weeks ago when I went there. The last day I was there on Sunday, I met five friends for lunch. And
Mhm,
this gal that served us at that restaurant, we were having a brunch there, and this gal, her name was Nikki. And I'll tell you, she went so far over and beyond what was asked or required of her and just made it such an amazing experience that we ended up giving her this really great tip. And then there's this platform you use called I Believe in You, IBIY for short. And you can just do there's an app in the App Store for it, and they give you get these little bracelets that they can track it on the app. So you scan it, and so we did it right there at the table. We scanned this. I had a bracelet. We scanned it. Then we created a video from all five of us, and we just talked to her and said, "Hey, you know what, man? We love and appreciate you so much, and thank you for just giving such a great experience." And we went around the table, and everybody at the table talked. And then it uploaded that video, and then we gave her the bracelet. And so when we paid the check and gave her a tip, and we gave her a bracelet and said, "Hey, go download the app, IBIY, just look that up in the App Store. Go download it, scan the bracelet, and there's a video from us just waiting there for you."
Mhm.
And she was dang near in tears.
Mm.
And she's like, "You have no idea how much I really needed this today, you know." And I have no idea what's going on in her life and what she was dealing with, but that made an impact, you
Mhm.
know. And and I will tell you, as an entrepreneur, showing up that way has opened so many doggone doors for me over the years. So many doors that just genuine appreciation for people.
Yeah.
And I have connected with millionaires and even billionaires
Mhm.
by just showing up that way and just be genuinely appreciative
You
of
know,
people.
a couple of years ago, I created just a simple 15-second welcome video so that when people connect with me on LinkedIn, I send them this non-pitchy, hey, you're awesome. I appreciate your friend, friendship. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then I transcribed it too, so if they didn't want to watch the video, they could just read the transcript.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
my LinkedIn connections went from 2,000, now it's up to 11,000.
Wow.
Just
Nice.
because you do something different,
Yeah.
just because it's
Yeah.
non-pitchy, just because you invite them to a conversation, and
Yeah.
then they share it. They get other people, "Hey, you gotta see, this guy's doing
It's
some
so
awesome stuff."
unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. And,
Yeah.
a couple times people say, "Well, ooh, out of the gate, you send me a video. Did you read it? Did you read the
Yeah.
transcript? Did you watch it?"
Yeah.
Block. Nope. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because we've been trained on LinkedIn to pitch.
Yeah.
I don't wanna pitch. If you wanna have a conversation, great, learn about me. Then, after you know me and you decided, "Hey, Rob's a nice guy, and this is how I can help them," then send me something.
Yeah.
But just not
Yeah.
out of the gate. That's just stupid. But that's
Yeah.
how the world is. We just spray and pray,
Yeah.
and we hope that we hit somebody, and I think that's the dumbest way to build a relationship.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody wants to be pitched right out of the gate, you
Yeah.
know.
And you're doing some awesome things where, there's no pitching involved. You don't come right out and pitch them. You
No.
build that relationship, and it's people say, "Well, I don't have time to play the long game."
What else are you gonna do?
That's right. I mean, we've been doing this for 30 years. What else are we gonna do?
I will tell you, I have well, you mentioned Joe Polish. That's how you and I met, through Joe Polish. Well, I met Joe Polish for the first time back in 1995. I
Mhm.
mean, so that's like 30 years ago,
Yeah.
you know. And so I've got relationships in my life that span back 30 years. I mean, and I've got other relationships that span back further than that, obviously. But like Joe was my introduction to marketing,
Yeah.
introduction to business when I didn't have a clue what I was doing, you know. And so that he was the first guy I met in my entrepreneurial career. In my entrepreneurial journey. I don't know that I would have called myself much of an entrepreneur when I met him,
Mhm.
but I've learned a few things over the last 30 years, you know.
But one of the greatest highlights, I think, coming out of Joe Polish is I went to his event in '98, went to another one in 2000. He interviewed me for his Genius of the Month tape thing, and
I
people say,
remember that.
"Tape? Tape? What the hell's a tape?" Well,
Cassette
cassette.
tape. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like, okay, unless you have an old car, you're not gonna have a cassette recorder, and, then you say DVDs, and there are people like, "What century are you from?"
Yeah.
So, we've bypassed all that, and now, people don't even think about MP3s anymore because they're all instant downloads, and,
Yep. Yeah.
so we've passed through multiple, media formats over the
Sure.
course of 30 years.
Yeah.
The messages are still there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it all comes down to relationships,
Yeah.
and you know it and I know it, getting the wrong relationships can tank your business,
You bet.
can tank your
You bet.
reputation,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you've done a great job and I'm not saying it's a collection of people, but you created this resource that at any moment in time you could pick up the phone and call somebody and they would be there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. For
And I
sure.
think you've done probably one of the best jobs doing that than anybody I know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and there's when we place a high value on relationships. And I'll tell you, because relationships they not can be, they are the right relationships are so doggone valuable. They will just, you get right in contact with the exact people that you need to meet with for whatever you might be dealing with
Mhm,
through the right relationships. And it all comes down to like appreciation and then just being of service to people.
mhm,
And, all the relationships in my life, I've always been like, okay, anything that I do, I want it to help further the relationship that I already have with this person.
mhm,
If I'm making an introduction, if I'm doing whatever, my goal is I want the person coming back going, wow, Kev, thanks so much for that. That was really valuable. Thanks so much for connecting me with so and so. That was really valuable. Whatever that is, I want it to further the relationship. And so that's always my litmus test is will doing this further the relationship that I already have with this person? Or if I'm making an introduction, will it further the relationship with both of these people?
mhm,
And and so I've just came from that place the whole time. And man, it is absolutely amazing
mhm.
who you get connected with, what you can accomplish via the right
Yeah,
relationships.
our
Yeah.
our good friend Steve Sims, who passed away in July,
Yeah.
you know, he knew a lot everybody. I mean, he knew
Yeah.
Elton John, he knew, all these famous celebrities, and he said people would always come up to him and say, "Can you introduce me to Elton John?" He would say, "Why?"
Why?
Because
Yeah.
not only and it wasn't rude in the way his approach was, it was just he wanted to understand why he would connect somebody to another person,
Yes.
and he didn't wanna waste the other person's time
Yeah.
just for, "Hey, I just wanna shake his hand because that's just"
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, Steve was just but he was just blunt. "Why?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I look at and I get these emails all the time. Hey Rob, I have somebody that would be great for your podcast. Tell me more. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I just and I don't like people pitching me on somebody that I don't even know. That's why I like to invite people I know back on the show. I don't care if they've been on the show 100 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate that relationship that I built with them, and to get somebody that somebody pitched to me, I'm like, are they just doing it just because they want to be on all these podcasts, or they actually have a message that they want to deliver?
Yeah. Well, and here's the reality, because we've been hosting the $1 Million Relationships podcast for 3 years now too, and I regularly get messages from people, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or email or what have you, saying, "Hey, I heard so and so on your podcast. Can I get an introduction to them?" And I'm the same way,
Mhm,
and because and here's the deal, you don't want to just even if you can get connected. You want to come from a place of being of genuine service
Mhm.
to that person. That's where you need to come from.
Mhm.
And coming from any other place, coming from a self-serving place of what do I want from this person. Now, and I get it. Everybody's most important thing is what am I going to get out of this? What's in this for me? And I totally get that. But to get the attention of the right kind of people, it's got to be from a place of service.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, from being in this place all these years and being this connector, being this conduit of trust for so many of these entrepreneurs now, um, you know, the the more successful that an entrepreneur gets, the smaller their circle becomes of people that they can truly trust and confide in. And so, you want to be that kind of a person. You want to be that kind of a conduit for people in your life and stuff. And when you show up that way, you become incredibly valuable to them.
Mhm.
And they place a very high value on the relationship that they have. And then, by coming from a place of a service, then they want to help us too and stuff.
Mhm.
And we'll get the opportunity to get what we want too and stuff, but come from a place of service.
Right. Yeah, you had mentioned what's in it for me, and I tried to change some of that element around so it's not on me, and so how can I benefit you?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but then people are like, well, what's the catch?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it's uh, people are funny creatures. They are, because they want to know one, you know, is it going to cost me something?
Yeah.
Or what part of my life are you going to rob from me? Whether it be time, talent, energy, and so, but some of these people that you are affiliated with, they don't think on those levels.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they've distanced themselves from the media attention. They've distanced themselves from the negative news. They've distanced themselves from people that don't understand their vision.
Yep.
And like you said, it's a small circle.
Yeah.
But from that small circle, you can create, a dynamic legacy that makes millions.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely in my mind, it definitely has not been about quantity. It's been about quality far over and above quantity,
Mm.
and, yeah, yeah.
So where can people find you? Where do they go?
Oh, well, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Kevin the Connector, and I don't know, you can look me up on LinkedIn. So there's a bunch of Kevin Thompsons on LinkedIn that are,
You
actors
got to go
and
with the handsome guy.
yeah, it's the handsome one. So yeah, it's not the actors, it's not the sports figures, it's not the attorneys, it's the handsome one. It's me. It's- so, and you know what? I'll say this. Check out the $1 Million Relationships podcast. And if what you see there resonates with you, if you are an established entrepreneur who's making a big impact through your business, who wants to make an even bigger impact through your business, who you are also coming from this place of service, just wanting to be of help and of service and pouring into others. I would love to meet you and have a conversation, get to know you a little bit, and if it makes sense, we could totally talk about doing an interview for the $1 Million Relationships podcast too and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah. It's and I want everybody out there to realize that you don't have to think small anymore. You really
yeah,
don't. You don't have to worry about if you can afford that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Are
yeah,
you charging enough? Because there's people out there that will pay. You just have to find them. And I understand that maybe you live in a small community. I used to have the carpet cleaning business in a small community. I'm sure yours wasn't in a big,
no, mine's a small town
small,
too.
but we built something and we kept building it. We kept working it and we learned. from our mistakes that because we worked the trenches.
Yeah.
Carpet cleaning is not easy, but it
Yeah.
taught us marketing. It taught us customer service. It taught us customer psychology,
Yeah.
you know, and it taught us how to treat the relationships better,
Yeah.
you know, to sell them things that they actually need and not something that we just want to push.
That's right.
You
That's
know, but
right.
but when I started the cleaning business, I think my average ticket at the time was $75. To a lot of people, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I wanted something bigger, better. By the time I sold the business in 2014, my average ticket was about $900.
Yeah. Yeah. Little
And now what I did, I mean, I used to do multiple jobs a day, just to get peanuts
Yeah.
to the point where I was doing one job a day, making a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the types of relationships that I love. And people say, "Oh, Rob, that sounds like about money." No, it's about freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Freedom as an entrepreneur is so much different than money because the things that you can do, with that money, like take a vacation, like
Yeah.
contribute to, investments, to, buy more equipment. We don't, as a young entrepreneur, you don't think about those things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as I was growing that business, I was also developing relationships with vendors, with contractors, with customers,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
so when I sold that business and went full time into Anspach Media, which had actually been created in 2001, um, everything solidified.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my books are my legacy to the world. Teaching them everything I know. You
Yeah.
know, and so we look at those things. What are we contributing?
That's right. That's right.
And so for you and I think it's going to pass on to your kids and your grandkids because they see what grandpa is doing. They
Yeah.
see it at the relationships he's building to give them something more in life.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, this has been an absolute pleasure, Rob. And I'm looking at the time going, holy cow, where did the time go so fast? And so, but I'll tell you, yeah, this has been an absolute pleasure. And, yeah, if that there resonates with you, see what you like at the $1 Million Relationships podcast, and by all means, reach out to me.
yeah,
So,
go visit his podcast. He's got lots of great guests on there. I watched a bunch of them, and I think you'll enjoy it. So
yeah.
see you guys on the next episode. Adios.
Bye, everybody.